Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Escamilla. For tonight's homework, you will only need to complete the 2 problems in the packet that are labeled Monday. This week, we're going to be working on some multi-step problem solving using the different operations and using a strategy called strip diagrams in order to help us solve our problems. So today, our problems are going to focus on multi-step addition problems and how we can use something called a strip diagram to help us to be able to solve multi-step addition problems. So if we take a look at the very first problem, we're going to go ahead and unlock our problem. It's about Sammy, and it says that Sammy scored 3,489 points in the first round of a new computer game, and then he scored 7,415 more points in the second round than he did in the first round. And so we want to find out how many points did he score in the 2 rounds. So I'm going to kind of go back and reread that again because I know I like to read problems twice to make sure that I'm really understanding them. So it says Sammy scored 3,489 points in the first round of a new computer game. He scored 7,415 more points in the second round than he did in the first round. How many points did Sammy score in the 2 rounds? So we're trying to find out how many points he ended up scoring in both the 2 rounds that he played on that computer. Now, we already know that in the first round he scored 3,489 points. So we're going to draw, here this example has already been done for us, but if we were going to this is something that we call a strip diagram. We're using rectangles to represent information provided us in the problem, provided to us, and then filling in some of those blanks in order to help us determine our answer. So we know that in the very first round, which it's labeled right here for us, he scored 3,489 points. Now this would be the second round. The rest of this, which is blank right here, is going to represent all the other points he scored in that second round. However, we don't know that information. That's kind of a question mark right now. We have to figure that out. But we've been given information. We have been given the information that if this is what he scored in the first round, he scored this many more points, 7,415 more points in this round than this round, which tells me we're going to need to combine these 2 points right here to determine what he scored in this second round right here, which is what we're going to actually put right here. So our first step is to determine how many points he scored in that second round. Because we can't find out how many total points he scored in both rounds until we actually find out what he scored in that second round, which, I'm sorry, would go right here. And so we're going to start using letters to represent unknown answers. So in this problem, we're going to let P represent the total number of points scored in the second round. So we know he scored 3,489 points in the first round, and that he scored 7,450 more points in the second round. So we're going to need to combine those to figure out how many he scored in that second round. So when I come over here and do my addition, I get 8, 9, 10, 9, and 10. We know that he scored 10,904 points in that second round. But remember, the question is asking us to find out how many points did he score in the 2 rounds. So now we know he scored 3,489 points in the first round and 10,914 points in the second round. Now we have the information we need in order to provide our answer. So in the second step, now we can take the points from the first round and the points from the second round and combine those to get the total amount of points in both rounds. And this time we're going to use N to represent our unknown amount. It's going to represent the number of points scored in the 2 rounds together. So when we combine 3,489 and 10,904, well, let's do that over here, 10,904, and we're going to add 3,489, 13, we have a sum of 14,393 points. So he scored 14,393 points in both rounds of that computer game. So there's our first example. And our second example, we have Kylie and her grandfather collect stamps. Kylie has 1,342 stamps. Her grandfather has 2,887 more stamps than she does. How many stamps do Kylie and her grandfather have combined? Okay, so let me read that one more time. Kylie and her grandfather collect stamps. Kylie has 1,342 stamps. Her grandfather has 2,887 more stamps than she does. How many stamps do Kylie and her grandfather have combined? So we need to find out how many stamps her and her grandfather have combined. And when I look at the information, I know that Kylie already has 1,342 stamps. So this little square, this rectangle is going to represent what she already has. Now we know that her grandfather has 2,887 more stamps than she does. So more than this number, which tells me we're going to have to combine these two numbers to determine how many stamps her grandfather has. And so we're going to let S represent the number of stamps that her grandfather has. Okay, so if she has 1,342 and he has 2,887 more than what she does, we need to combine those to determine how many he has. So 1,342. Oops. So 7 and 2 make 9. 8 and 4 make 12. 12. 4. So her grandfather has 4,229 stamps. Now, the question is asking us now to find out how many her and her grandfather have combined, though. So now that we know how much she has and how much he has, we can combine them together to get their total combined. So we already know that Kylie has 1,342 stamps. And her father has 4,229 stamps. And we're going to let T represent the number of stamps that they have combined together. So we would need to find the sum of those two numbers. And then get our answer. And then the sum is going to be the answer to the original question, which would be how many stamps that they have combined together. So when I do that, I get 11, 4, 5, 7, 5, and 5. So 5,571 is how many stamps the two have combined. Okay, so for your homework today, you have 2 questions to complete, Mondays and Tuesdays. Both of the problems are multi-step problems that follow the same format that we saw in the second example and the format that we saw in the first example. Notice that in the directions it says must draw a strip diagram for each problem. Okay, so I'm going to want you to draw the strip diagrams to represent what you're doing to solve these problems. So notice that in the first example, this is the strip diagram that we start with for the first step of our problem, and this is the strip diagram that we end with, which is the second answer to the second part of our problem, because it's a multi-step problem. So we're having to perform 2 separate operations in order to get our final answer. I want to see both pieces of your strip of these 2 strip diagrams for each one of these problems that you're solving on today's homework. Okay? If you have any questions, email me and I'll be happy to answer them if you get stuck while you're working at home. Thanks. Bye.